have it displayed so that the consumers or customers may have chances of seeing that or viewing that, and from the variety or from the variety assortments that they have a chance of picking about what that they really wanted. So this has been the usual or the conventional system. But since that we know now the technology has improved, we do about many things through the online. Right, online had been the very highlighted concepts or highlighted aspects that is being taken into. So this is having an impact on the nature and design of the marketing channels, right? So as the involvement or the influence of the technology as well as the online marketing aspect is being involved with, it is also having an impact on the marketing channel. So mostly we hear about this intermediation. Now, what is this intermediation? Intermediation, we know what it is. This intermediation, of course, happens when the product or services where the producers slash out or cut out the intermediaries, and instead of that they go directly to the final buyer. So it is like equivalent to the direct marketing, but direct marketing, of course, that is done physically, right? So every activities are done physically, but here the same aspect is there, or the same what you call description that we can take into. But the thing is, he is approaching or directly going to the final buyer or consumer by the technology as well as through the online, right? So he go directly to the final buyers, or when radically new types of channel intermediaries displace the traditional ones, right? So this is what we call it as disintermediation. This is called the disintermediation, right? So nowadays, of course, than looking into the traditional, what do you call channels or traditional, huh? Rather than having about the traditional intermediaries, now of course there had been more concern raised over, or more people are taking into like online marketing aspects, right? Which is of course replacing about the traditional brick and mortar retailers. So brick and mortar retailers in the sense, really the physical, what you call place is there, physical place is there. There is a building, and you can be identified, and also the people may be facilitated to come and get many varieties of products, right? But of course, instead of these traditional brick and mortars, now there is a replacement by an online approaches. So, right, if you want to get connected with, right, we can, go through the online. Like there may be applications also as well, and even there are web pages, right? So we can move into the web pages, and of course now, say for an instance, like the Pizza Hut, McDonald's, or KFC, right? What they do is they have an online app, right? So through that you can order what you preferred with. Options are being given, and with one shot, the delivery is there at your doorstep. To that extent, now the channels have been improved. So we have to really consider that sort of things also taking place, right? So this is what we call it as changing of channel organization from the intermediation. Now we talk about the concept as disintermediation, right? So, what sort of opportunities and challenges are there in what that we, spoke about as this intermediation? Here, opportunity is really there is channel innovators who find new ways to add value in the channel, right? Now, say if it is very immediately that you can get about in the fixed price that you can get about and in many varieties that you can get about, then of course it is creating about more value in the point of consumers or in the minds of consumers, right? So therefore it is providing opportunities for these marketers to change their approach over mediation or intermediation to the disintermediation, right? So challenges, of course, really these traditional intermediaries tend to continue, right? And also they also in their systems try to incorporate some innovative actions which may also have a real what you call real fight, right, between the traditional system as well as the new system. Right, so this that we have to take in consideration. Okay, now we will study about now in order to make about now so many aspects that we have studied or tried to understand through these marketing channels, right? So now we know many systems are there, many types are there. Which one that we have to make about the choice has to be decided, right? So this decision, channel design decisions have to be made, and that of course will be really gone through the process as this, right? First, that we have to analyze about the consumer needs, right? So, in order to make the channel decision, right, we have studied about the vertical systems and the horizontal systems, and of course, if you take about even the retailers, right, and wholesalers, there are many people available where that we have to make about the choices, right? But how that the choices can be made, we have to really move through a particular flow or to the particular stages, right? One to be, so these are some of the criteria that is going to determine. One would be analyzing the consumer needs, right? Other one is setting the channel objectives, right? So what sort of objectives that we are going to materialize through these channel decisions. So that is calling for channel objectives. Then we have to also know about what sort of alternatives that we are having on hand, right? Without knowing the alternatives, of course, we may not be able or may not be in a position to choose about a particular channel, right? Then, of course, it is involved with the evaluation. We have to see about the pros and cons of having the alternative channels and find out what would be the best for us. So, this is how that we really move on to make about the channel decision, right? Channel design decision is made as that. Now, first we will move into this one, analyzing the consumer needs. Right, so we have to really design the marketing channels starting from who would be our customers. That is, what is our target consumers, right? And what is the channel that they are convenient with, right? We cannot only see as marketer, we cannot only see what is the convenience of the particular organization has. It has to look into the convenience of the consumers, because the consumers are said to be the very important and very major contributor for organizations' profits. No? So we have to look into what would really the consumer wants from, right? So that is very important. That's why that we say we have to first know about their requirement needs. Of course, we have to really know, right? So now these are some of the questions that we can raise. One to be, do consumer want to buy from nearby location, or are they willing to travel more distance and centralized location? So what is the choice? Because they have a choice either that they will go purchasing the channels which are close by, or that they will be even visiting to the manufacturing organization and purchase. So which one do they prefer? Right. So that is very important. And the whether that the consumers would buy from a person, or whether it is done through phone or maybe online. So this also we have to really know. So what is the preference that they are having, and do they value breadth of do they value breadth of assortment, or do they prefer specialization? So if they are very much wanted with what you call varieties or more assortments, then whether we are ready to provide those assortments, or whether that they prefer specialization. So specialization in the sense that we can really approach few manufacturers and get about the products that they are wanting. But if it is a wider assortment that they are wanted, then we have to buy it from many manufacturers or marketers, right? So that is also another concern that we have. And do consumer want many add-on services, right? Uh, right. So add-on services in the sense the installation or the delivery or the repairs, whether that has to be done by the channels, or whether they themselves will bear about such type of requirements. So that is very important. So in this way, that we will try to know about what sort of consumer needs. So this is the first requirement that we have now regarding of this channel design decision, right? The other one to be channel objectives. So what is the objectives that the organizations are trying to right attain with by having these channels? So the channel objectives have to be really notified, or we have to bring it to our consideration, right? So under channel objectives, we can see whether the companies should state their marketing channel objective in terms of target levels of customer services, right? So now, what sort of services that the consumers really wanted with? Now, though that we talk about the services, what is meant by services in the sense with the product, what sort of services that we are going to give, right? In some instances, when you are selling the product, you have to provide the transportation for them. For some products, you have to really have an installation, right? So you have to take the product and right assemble that on their residence, and you have to make it operationalized, right? Some products wanted such type of thing. So under that circumstances, that you must be able. So whether what is our objective? Sometimes we will sell it, but that is up to the consumers to pay it, or to hire some person to do about. So sometimes we do it, and as a marketer, sometimes it can be done by the consumer themselves. So what is our objectives that we have to clearly mention, right? And at the same time, as I've already told you, there are several segments where that they may be requiring about different services, right? So, in the sense, sometimes it has to be direct marketing, sometimes it may be indirect marketing. Even if you take about indirect marketing, in some instances, it has to be involved with wholesalers and retailers. Sometimes it can be either by wholesalers or retailers, but having about the wholesalers, most of the time we may not see in the practical situation, but having only the retailer, there is about the ample of opportunities to see, right? So now we have to know about, even if that we have, right, certain systems or certain channels, we may have for different segments different channels applied with. So already that I have discussed this particular thing, right? And then the company should decide which segment to serve and best channels to use in each cases, right? So which are the segments that they are going to serve about, and with respect to the behavior of that segment, what would be the channels that is appropriate, what would be the best for those segments also have to be decided, right? So then maybe there can be other reason also. When you are selecting about certain channels, you have to also have a concern over minimizing the cost, right? So if cost is been minimized only, you can have more margin to us, right? So that is of course called to be the channel objective. Then the third one is identifying the major alternatives, right? So in this, what sort of aspects comes into is we have to see types of intermediaries, right? So types of intermediaries in the sense now whether we are going to have wholesalers, retailers, or there to be business consultant, agents, something like that. So types of intermediaries that you have to identify. Number of intermediate, how many people that you are going to have, whether you are going to have two wholesalers or one wholesaler and two retailers, right? So numbers can be decided. And also having about the responsibilities assigned over each of these channel members. So we know we have to collaboratively work into, and therefore if there is different levels of intermediaries involved, each has to take their own responsibility. So that is identified. Okay. So of course the types of intermediaries, right? So they have to decide the same thing. This is being only elaborated here. Types of intermediaries, right? And number of intermediaries, right? Sometimes regarding of this, that we can have these three what you call strategies. One is said to be intensive distribution, right? So intensive distribution in the sense as many as stocks are being right stored in many outlets, right? So in the sense that the consumers can approach the particular company very easily. Exclusive distribution, right? If you are right dealing with the outside, I mean the distributors, then we have to decide on what is the number that we are going to deal with, and we have to give about the rights of distributing the products and services to the respective territories. Selective distribution, you will be using more than one but few than all of the intermediaries that are willing to carry out the company. So in some instances that you go for selective distribution, right? So here there is a limited number, but here that you have some selection, and therefore you will be deciding on which of the people have to do about which territories, and how that they will be dealing with the consumers, right? And responsibilities of each channel members already that we have seen. Now, the fourth aspect being evaluating the alternatives. So, the alternatives in the sense that we know we have different people, right? And different channel members, right? So, we have to have about the selection. So, for this selection, that some criteria are being applied. One to be the economic criteria, right? So, here the company has or the company will be comparing what would be the sales cost and profits when they are dealing with different channel alternatives, that is how much of profits that are going to be generated. Then to be the control criteria, right? So I mean when you are involving the intermediaries into your distribution, then of course how to control about the process may be of course a concern, right? So how much of control that you may be having about, or how much of control that they are going to place on the marketers, right? So it's of course a real thought for the organization to consider. So you may see that using intermediates usually means giving them some control over the marketing of the product, and intermediates take more control than others, right? So I mean, how much of control you are going to give to them, and how much of control that they will take on us, because they are distributing our product, right? Therefore, if they have the possibility of distributing that successful than your organization, then they get a more control. And at the same time, as you are giving your product to the people or distributors or intermediaries, then you have a control over that. So, what is the control that you're going to have also will be deciding. Then, other one to be the adaptive criteria, right? I mean, if you are having about long-term commitments with certain distributors, right? We have to see whether that the profits and the control can be obtained for these organizations. That is the very main area for us to look at. So that is called as adaptive one. Right. So if you are moving into international distribution, then of course there are some additional aspects to consider, right? So there may be complexity since that we are moving into different countries, and their requirements may be different with, and maybe the channels are also not the channels that we are seeing here, right? So there may be different, and there may be unique distribution systems that are being practiced there, right? So country to country, such systems may be differing with where that we have to understand that and go by, right? So in some instances, it is very difficult for us to penetrate into such systems, because those intermediaries are very like close with the local manufacturers, right? So when you go internationally, sometimes they may not accept us easily. So that sort of problems and issues also may be arising with. And regarding of international marketers, that we have a range of channel alternatives. So we have to really pick about which one to be the appropriate one for us to maintain about efficiency and effectiveness. So this is for the international market, right? And so once that you have selected about the channels, now it is up to the channel management. So how that you are going to manage about the channels. Uh, Now you may be worried why this channel management is coming into such type of what you call importance here. This is the channels are not, they are not our own organization, right? So they are different organization, right? So therefore, once that you have selected, or once that you have identified the appropriate one, now you have to manage the process of the distribution with that organization or with that channel member to be very appropriate, and of course the consumers to have more satisfaction over that, right? So now the process may be involved as this, right? So here it is said, once that the company has reviewed its channel alternatives and determined the best channel design, it must implement and manage the chosen channel. This is what I was talking about, right? So this channel management requires about selection then managing, then of course motivating, and of course evaluating the performance, right? So this is how the channel management is going to get involved with, right? So, and selecting of the channel members, of course, will involve with many aspects. But anyway, regarding of right the marketing intermediaries, that capabilities that they are having, right? So they may be selected because of the experience that they have had in the marketplace and how successful that they have marketed, or how that successful that they have distributed. So depending on that, we may qualify many of the intermediaries, right? And therefore that we may be able to select them in different criterion applied over. So maybe we will be looking to the number of years that they are doing about such businesses in the particular area, and of course what sort of lines that they are carrying out. What do you mean by other lines that they are carrying out, in the sense from other manufacturers? What are the other products that they are distributing with? What is the location that they are sounded enough, right? And the growth and the profit, right? And also what is the record that they are having, corporation, and of course the reputation. So based on that, we can have a selection of the channel members. Then the second and the third one, managing and motivating the channel members. So once that they have selected, right, you have to manage them and motivate them, right? So the very concern is that the company must sell not only through the intermediates, but also to and with them, right? So I mean, though that we have selected the intermediaries, it does not mean thereafter we don't have a responsibility, right? So with them, through them, that we must also reach about the final consumers, right? So through them that we have to do it. Now say for an instance, in a company, right? So if you are a manager, you may be delegating some of the responsibilities to the subordinates, right? So once it is been delegated, thereafter, if you are not involved with that or seeing about what is taking place, then of course we may not be what do you call, not be able to attain our ultimate destination. So similar way, even though that you have given the distribution responsibility for an outside firm, with them you have to really work with. So therefore, this managing and motivating the channel members is said to be very important, right? So the intermediaries may be the frontline. They are the people who are dealing with the frontline customers, and of course, so therefore, that the relationship that they are having have to be really fostered for a long-term partnership, right? So that is very important. Then evaluating the channel members, right? So channel members' performance, right? So this is not your organization, outside of your organization. So you have to really monitor their performance, right? So it can be on sales quotas, and the average inventory levels, and the customer delivery time, right? So what sort of treatment they do of when the goods have been damaged or goods have been lost, then cooperation with the company, promotion and training. So several criteria can be inputted, right? So based on that, you must try to evaluate, right? And thereafter, once the evaluation or the recognition is being made, then you can even reward the intermediaries, right, for their performance regarding of their activities, adding about a good value for the consumers, right? So performing people have to be rewarded. At the same time, people who are very poor can be also assisted, right? To a certain extent, but if not being good enough, then we can remove them or replace. So this is how the selected channels have to be managed with. Right, so this is public policy and distribution decision. This is not much like we go through very deeply, right? So this is what we can, understand by. But of course, I was earlier talking about the supply chain, right? So we have this now. You can see from the sellers to the company, and from the company to the resellers, and from the resellers to the customers. That is the way that the product is moving about, right? Not only the product, but also the raw materials moves to the company, and from the company the outputs are being, or the final products are being moved to the resellers, from resellers to the customer. So therefore this logistics in the sense helping about the movement of the item, right? So these logistics are very important. So the supply chain management, I said, it is not only involved with the outbound logistics. Mostly marketing channels are going to get involved with the outbound logistics, but of course supply chain will include the inbound logistics, outbound logistics, as well as the reverse logistics, right? So supply chain is the process of managing upstream and downstream. What is upstream? From the company point, right? This is upstream, right? Where that you are getting the raw materials here through the inbound logistics, right? And about the downstream, where the company is giving away their products or final products or services to the retailer. So that is called about outbound logistics, right? So if the company is involved direct away with the customers, then the outbound logistics is this. But since that we know the marketing channels are being involved, we are giving the product to the resellers. That is called outbound logistics. And at the same time, there is also reverse logistics. Sometimes, right, the products may be moving from here to here, again here to here, as well as from here to here, right? So in some instances, if the product is not appropriate, or it is having some damages or whatever, for whatever reason, right? So it can be moving to the previous places, right? So from customers to retailers, from retailers to the company, from company to the supplier. So everything, when it is been connected together, we talk about the marketing logistics and the supply chain management. So this is what we call it as a supply chain management. This the whole picture shows about the supply chain management. Okay, so the marketing, logistic, and the supply chain management, though that we have simply seen that, right, in the way of the diagrammatic form, right? But of course, when it comes to the logistic, then of course it is really involved with warehousing, inventory management, transportation, and with the logistic information management. This is what that we see. This is the logistic functions, right? Warehousing means that you are having about a storage place, right? So how many places, what types, where, and the distribution center that you are worried about. Inventory management. Now, how that you are taking the items, or taking about the products in, and how that you are distributing it out, right? So just in time systems are there, refeed is there, knowledge exact product location, smart shelves, right, placing order automatically. These are some of the systems involved with the inventory management. Transportation, we know there is a multi model transportation, right, varieties. And logistic information management, that you have EDI, that is electronic data interchange, as well as VMI, vendor manage inventory. So this is the logistic functions. And also you can go for integrated logistic management. Integrated logistic management in the sense, right? So here what happens is you provide customer services and trimming distribution costs, requiring teamwork internally and externally. So if the distribution cost is very much higher, you must try to reduce it. How that you can reduce it? Such cost is through this integrated logistic management, right? So there can be cross-functional team inside, building partnership relationship, and also there may be uh, teamwork inside as well as outside the organization. So therefore that we can have a cross-functional team and logistic partnership. At the same time, it can be also outsourcing to third-party logistic providers, right? So, third-party logistic providers, 3PL, it is called as. I think even in advanced level that you would have studied about this, right? So these are third-party involved in performing the right functions required by the particular clients or the people who really wanted about the services, right? So this is what we look into these marketing channels, but of course it is continued with retailing and wholesaling. Right. So we in the previous chapter we came to know there are very important partners or very important members. So that members performing activities are said to be retailing and wholesaling. Right. So these are some of the objectives. And when we come to the first one, that is what is the role of retailers in the distribution channel, and describing about major types of retailers. Who are the retailers available? Now, what is meant by retailing is this will include the activities on selling the product and services directly to the final consumer. This is very important, right? Retailing in the sense there is thereafter no any intermediaries involved. These are the people who will be direct away dealing with the consumers, right? So consumers are for their personal or non-business use, right? So retailers are business who sales come primarily from retailing. So retailing is the process that which is been described above, and the people who does it is called as retailers. Right. In retailing, you may come across the shopper marketing as well as omni-channel retailing. A shopper market is in the sense where the shoppers are turning into buyers, right? And they also approach the point of sales. So it may be in stores, or it may be online, or even it can be mobile shopping, right? So that is what we call it as a shopper marketing. But omni-channel retailing, of course, this is having about a cross-channel buying experience, where in-store and online and mobile shopping, right? So it is creating a single shopping experience. Right, so there in the shopper marketing, of course, that we may have many options to move into. But here, through all of this process, that we try to do about the retailing. So it may be getting about the form of physical, online, in-store, whatever, right? So everything is really combined together. Now, moving into the types of retailers, what types of retailers are available? If you just try to find out, it would be many. right? But for us, or for our easy understanding, we have divided the categories, right? First, we have divided the categories. Under each of these categories, now we are going to see about the types of retailers. I suppose that you will understand what I am saying, right? Retailers are many, types is many, right? Many types of retailers that you can come across. But of course, for us to get a good understanding, first that we have a classification, and based on the classification, we will try to understand about different types. So the first one to be amount of service that they are providing. Second one to be the product line. And third one to be the relative price. And fourth one to be the organizational approach. So through these four categorization, we are trying to explore about the types of retailers. Now, the first one we come amount of service, right? That they are providing. So, depending on that, we can have these three types of retailers. One to be self-service, limited service, and of course the full service, right? So, what are those, right? If just we try to understand, self-service retailers serve customers who are willing to perform their own locate, compare, select process to save money. Right? Self-service retailers, of course, when the customers are ready to do or to perform the activities by themselves, that is, it is saving about cost to the retailers actually. Now, say supermarkets most of the time, right? So where that these consumers. Otherwise, what will happen in a retailer shop, right? Once that you give about the list that they will be attending individually to what that you are requiring about. But in the self-service, what happens is they themselves will pick about what that really that they are wanted. So the services provided by the retailer is very much limited, right? Very minimal. So therefore, that they can be reducing. So number of people involved in the organization also you can reduce it, right? So mainly it may include of Walmart as well as some supermarkets. Limited service retailers, of course, they are providing sales assistance, right? Since that they are very concerned about uh, when the consumers go for shopping goods, right? So where that for shopping goods, of course, we know there is more information needed with, and also that is for the limited. And regarding of the information wanted, that mostly the service that they are providing is information, right? So information they give about the product, the description of it, the usage of it, and many things of that. But they are not assisting them in picking about. So information that they are providing. So therefore, it is said to be limited service retailers, right? Since many services are not provided by them. But if you move into the final category, that to be the full service retailers, they assist about the customers in every phase on the shopping process, and therefore the cost of right assisting by the retailers is very higher, and therefore the prices that they are going to charge about also will be higher, right? So mostly it can be the departmental stores as well as the specialty stores, right? So this is the first category, amount of service classification, right? So self-service, limited service, and full service. Now, other one comes as product line classification, right? So I'll just move from first types of retailers, four classifications that we can see. Amount of service classification now that we have already discussed about, and from there we are moving to the product line. So product line classification that we are moving into. Okay, so there again you can see many stores, specialty stores, department stores, convenience stores, superstores, and even category killers. Right? So, just if you try to understand all these people, specialty stores, of course, they are only carrying one variety, say they are concerned only with flowers or concerned with only selling about shoes, right? Their assortments are very much deeper, right? Now, if it is a if you come to the flowers, then many things very deeper assortments they may be having, like fresh flowers, artificial flowers. Even if you take about the fresh flowers, local flowers, and foreign flowers, and in that now fragrant flowers, non-fragrant flowers, many varieties, right? With that they may be having. So those stores are called to be specialty stores. Departmental stores, in contrast to the specialty stores, departmental stores will be carrying variety of product lines. Right now, say if you go to big malls, right? They have many products available, product lines in one what do you call place or in one location. The availability of many products are seen, right? So that is called as departmental stores, right? In a place. Okay. Now, say for an instance, now even if you like move into like Keel supermarket, Apico supermarket, so those are called as departmental stores where different sections will be dealing with the different products. Supermarkets, right? So here also supermarkets like almost these department stores as well as supermarkets are same, but of course the transactions that they are providing may have about the differences. This is supermarkets are little advance of the departmental stores, right? More facilitations that they are providing through the supermarkets, because now say supermarkets they may have the parking facilities, they may have the playground or the playing place for the children to have their games enjoyed, or sitting places. There may be what do you call canteen facilities, there may be bank facilities, like many things may be there in the supermarket thing, right? Superstores, of course, these are much larger than the regular supermarket. Uh, then, of course, they are also having different assortments, right? Right. So it may be even providing of different varieties, right? And larger combinations of many things, right? They may be having about. And moving into the category killers, they of course now in the above categories or in the above what you call stores, what that we found was there are certain categories, right? Certain categories which are bit demarked, right? But here, category
Excuse
killers,
me,
of
ma'am.
course, they, what do you call, take away that type of categories, right? So you cannot be identified to be having about what you call different assortments collected together. Here, what happens is which of the things are huge sales or larger sales can be made about. So that type of products are being taken by the category killer. So that means no category. You are killing the category, right? Category killers. And of course, in this we can see about the service retailers. right? So these service retailers may include about the hotels, motels, banks, airlines, restaurants, right? So colleges. So those are the retailers which are providing services, right? So it can be insurance, hospitals, movie theaters, right? Tennis clubs, right? You name it, right? Number of things which are coming under service retailer. So this is under product line category or product line classification that you can see, right? Other one to be relative price characteristics. Of course, um, my screen was not visible, but whether you were able to hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am.
I
We can
told
hear
you,
you.
please,
Yes,
if there
ma'am.
is any problem, you can interrupt. There is no issue. Now only I saw that the screen was not shared, no? Presentation slides are not visible, ma'am. Ma'am, your screen is not visible. Again, TP is not visible. Screen is not visible. Okay, so much of problem you all had. Since when? When I start the wholesaling and retailing? Or just now? Please answer me. 73? MS 73. MS 73, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
73? Can you tell me the
Yes,
problem?
ma'am. Visible, ma'am.
I can't hear you. Now you are being muted. Oh, anyone else? Number 70? Yes, my connection was poor, ma'am. Sorry. Okay.
Can PPT start?
Means the
That one.
retailing and the wholesaling when I started.
Yeah.
So you didn't see entirely the retailing and the wholesaling.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. Very sorry. But you also have to take the responsibility. I told you, you have to interrupt me and tell. Right? No harm. Uh, I can show it to you in my next class. Can I have at least 1 hour tomorrow in the morning so that I can finish this channeling? And therefore, there will be only one section to cover, that is promotion. Do you have time in the morning? Evening, I am busy. Evening, I have many meetings to attend. Morning, 9:30 to 10:30.
Okay, ma'am.
9:30 to 10:30, you allow, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, no? I can't really hear you.
It's okay, ma'am.
Can you put it in the chat? Now put it in the chat. Since that I can't hear you properly. Okay, okay. So 9:30 to 10:30. Okay, only 1 hour. Huh? So tomorrow we will meet on 9:30. And so at that time I will start with the wholesaling and retailing. Okay, no issue. Okay, thank you very much. Good night.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.